Now we got my dog, Mike Hilton. Whew. Is he staying or is he going?
Oh man, it's between him and Cam Sutton for me.
It is.
I
Yeah.
think we're gonna re-sign one of them. It's probably gonna be the one who we could get for less. That's what I'm assuming.
Okay.
Who's gonna get less? I mean, didn't you think that Cam Sutton was gonna get more on the open market?
Well, I think it depends. Honestly,
but
I can see
Steelers would value Mike Hilton more in-house.
Yeah, Mike Hilton would be more valuable in-house. Cam Sutton, the reason he's interesting in terms of I could see him potentially getting more money is just because of the flexibility that he has to bump out and play corner on the outside, and you could put him at safety. Those are three key positions to be flexible in. Problem is, in terms of why he could also not make a lot of money, he doesn't have a lot of productivity at this point, right? Obviously, the injuries played, a bigger part of that early on in his career, but he doesn't have a ton of, plays built up in his repertoire. Whereas we've seen with Mike Hilton, 4 years of this thing now, right? We've seen countless play be made in the run game and rushing the quarterback in coverage. So even though he's solely a nickel corner, we've seen him dominate that position for multiple years now. Whereas with Cam, it's more intrigue, but not necessarily the finished product that Mike Hilton is right now. So that's why it's like, I feel like Mike will make more money, but I could easily see a team paying a little bit more for Cam Sutton because of
taking a chance.
The positional flexibility of those things. Absolutely. Yep.
So is there a world we get neither?
It could definitely happen where we get neither. If number one, well, first off, like I said, they don't do any more movement in-house.
We're all on James Pierre.
Either of these guys. Yeah. We'll be in the James Pierre, Justin Lane, hoping for the best scenario, right? But I do think that, it's hard not knowing which move is made yet. Oh, man. I think in the end, Cam Sutton returns. I don't think Mike Hilton returns. I think that's the one. Because if I'm a team right now.
That's how I'm thinking too, a little bit.
Yeah. If I'm a team that doesn't know either one of those guys, I'm not as open to taking a chance on a cover guy, right, that can play multiple spots as I would be a proven guy that I know, hey, he covers well, he can get after the quarterback, he's great against the run. I know what this is versus the intrigue of somebody else's. You know what I mean? Because I always ask myself, all right, well, if he's so intriguing, if he is so versatile, why isn't he more of a priority from a contract standpoint? Meaning, yeah, we're in a cap situation where we don't have the most flexibility, but we also know ways to free up cap space is by releasing people. So if you're not releasing those people, you're basically saying that those people are more valuable to your team than this versatile corner that could play inside, outside, and safety. If I'm another team looking at that, I'm going to say, I might be a little hesitant on it, and I might not want to pay as much for that. So that's why I'm just like, I think Mike Hilton is going to be the one that does get the contract and ultimately go over to, newer pastures and things like that.
I've seen different projections from like 6 to 7 million all the way down to like 2 or 3 million.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking with that?
For a Hilton or a Sutton?
Hilton.
For Hilton, 6 or 7. I think he's closer to that range. That's what Roby Coleman, he was in that range when he did his extension in LA, and then obviously when he went over to Philadelphia a year ago. And those two guys have kind of been viewed as like the top slot corners for the past couple of years, right? In terms of what they've been able to do, playmaking ability and stuff like that. So just seeing Roby's market, I feel like Hilton's going to be very similar to that. Both of those guys are undersized. Both of them are scrappy, but both of them are just very productive players. But they are solely, slot corners. That's who they are. And you know that, and you know that they are dominant at that position. So even though they are limited, you know what they specialize in, and you pay for that. So I think with Hilton, he's going to be in that same range, that 6 or 7 million. If he was assigned anywhere for 2 million, I would be shocked.
Yeah, because the 6 or 7 makes sense for us.
Yeah. Not right now, based on the people that are still under contract. I mean,
what if it was 4 or 5?
If it's 4 or 5, sure.
Okay.
But you still got to make moves, right? You still would have to do something with your DeCastro or your Vince. You would still need to make some type of movement from a contract standpoint with Joe Hayden and Steven Nelson. I mean, it's multiple pieces that are going to be like that you're going to need to potentially adjust. You know what I mean? Whether it's a a full restructure, whether it's a cut, whether it's we're going to tear your contract up like they did with Ben and do something different. Either way, they're going to have to figure that out if they want to bring those type of guys back. Right now we're not seeing a lot of movement, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Call up your boy Colbert, man. See what's going on, man. What is this?
I know, dude. I think I agree with you, though.
Sheesh.
That was my feeling. I think Mike Hilton's going to get more in free agency. Cam Sutton's flying a little bit more under the radar. Even if teams do think that he could be used in some of those versatile ways, hasn't been proven, so the Steelers might actually maybe fork up a little bit more money to keep Cam Sutton, depending on what his highest bidder gives him. You know, if it's $3 million and the Steelers say, oh, you know, we could go a little bit higher than that, 3.5, $4 million to keep you. We're losing Mike Hilton. I could see something like that happening maybe. But then if you think Cam Sutton's going to get like $6, $7 million, oh man, we're done.
See, that's the thing. I put it like this.
There's a chance it happens, but
I would be more surprised. Excuse me. I'm saying this backwards. I would be less surprised if Cam Sutton were to sign for $2 million than if Mike Hilton were. You know what I mean? Because like with Cam, what I talked about, right? In terms of intrigue, you can see the potential there, but he doesn't have a ton of years and a ton of productivity just, you know, slated like that. It's still kind of new with him. Still a lot of uncertainty in terms of, all right, he's done it in this role where he's, you know, had a ton of nice pieces around him. But when you get paid the way he's potentially going to get paid, you're coming in and you're going to have to be more of a focal point, not just an accessory. And if you've never seen him be a focal point, that could make you a little, you know, a little hesitant to give him big money, especially early on. So it wouldn't surprise me if his market was in that $2 million range. Now, I think it will be more, but if it was in that $2 million range, that would not surprise me for Cam Sutton.
Yeah, but then it would make sense for us to bring him back at $3 million for sure.
True. But then it would also have to make sure that the parties would want to do it together, right? Because we always just assume that, man, these guys, they've been here for multiple years. They want to stay here. These guys have been here for multiple years. They want to stay here. They want to take
we
less.
have the upper hand.
Yeah. And for personal experience, that is not the case. And I'm talking about here in Pittsburgh, not even Buffalo or AZ. In Pittsburgh, I've had guys that have either come through free agency and after 1 year, they're like, bro, I'm out. Ask for my release. I'm gone. It's been guys that have been drafted here that have played multiple years. And when their contract is up, they're like, bro, I don't want to stay here anymore. I hate it here. So trust me, it's not always a foregone conclusion that these guys just, oh man, they've got drafted here. They've been here for at least a year. They want to stay. That's not always the case, man. So that's what I'm like. So for Cam Sutton, it's like, yeah, I mean, if his market is $3 million and the Steelers are like, we could pay that, sure. But how does Cam feel about that? Does Cam want to come back for 3? Or does Cam want to try out somewhere elsewhere? It just depends. I mean,
just assume everyone wants to be back.
Yeah, because if I'm Cam Sutton, right? This is how easily, and this is why I always say like I don't make it a foregone conclusion because I know the thoughts that these people are having in some of these scenarios. If you're Cam, all right, you feel like you're important, you feel like you're valuable, but when was it ever you over Mike Hilton?
True.
You were the draft pick here, and it was never you got the opportunity over Mike Hilton. Even when you were healthy, it was always Mike Hilton. And then you, or this guy has to get hurt and then you get the opportunity. So if you're Cam, you could be saying, why come back here for this rate when I could go somewhere else where they might actually love me? You know, they're not going to look at me as
maybe.
Right. But they're not going to say
tables are being turned on me right now.
because if you're Cam Sutton, right? If you're Cam Sutton and you go to Atlanta, you got a better chance of being, you know, a guy or being one of the guys there, right? On their defense. Now, I'm not saying their defense is good, but you got a better chance of being the guy there, right? You might even get paid a little bit more. Whereas in Pittsburgh, are you ever going to be viewed as the guy on defense? No. Joe Hayden, Steven Nelson, Minka Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, Devin Bush, like all these other names are going to come up before Cam Sutton. So that's what I'm just saying. Like he could have that mindset where I want to prove that I'm the guy. Not saying that he does, but that's the part of why I'm like, you never know 100% with these dudes. Like, you just never know in those scenarios because he hasn't had that opportunity just yet.
That's 100% fair.
Yeah, man.
So,
but hopefully
we got Cam Sutton and Mike Hilton out the way with that, I guess. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I lean Cam Sutton coming back a little bit more than Mike Hilton.